Okay. So, hey.
Hi.
All right. So, um, gotta start your first thought very good. All right. So, I walked in your classroom at the beginning of the day. So, what I wanted to see is just like guided reading, the transition, and everything. So, you actually began guided reading very strong by celebrating the growth that the scholars have made. They know how to transition. Um, I do say like I would keep having them practice perfect, but that is like the expectation. They know how to meet the expectation. I would just like them not to require like so many prompts. They should be able to just do it. Um, and then obviously the kids are reading and growing because your kids have like moved step levels. So what we're gonna look at first is a intro of a book intro for a guided reading book. Nope, that's not what I wanted. We're actually gonna watch the model first, so.
Okay. It's like two things going at once.
Two videos are going. There we go. So let's try that again. Let me try to actually delete these. That was strange. So let me try that again. I'm sorry, it didn't link correctly,
That's alright.
but it's in here. Okay, so here's the model. So this is Miss Rooney.
So we know that character motivation means what the character wants the most. So while we're reading, sometimes authors don't tell us why characters are acting in a certain way. So we need to think about what the character wants most to figure out why they're doing the things that they do. For example, we read a frog thing, and we know that the main character in that was Frank. So Frank kept like jumping around and flopping around and jumping in the water. Yeah, he was jumping around and flopping around because his character motivation, what he wanted, was to fly. So did the author tell us why he was jumping around? No, but the author did tell us he wanted to fly. So we used the character motivation to help us figure out why he was doing that. I'm going to give you guys another example, and this time I'm going to ask you guys questions. Are you ready? Listen clearly. So, there was a girl named Anaya who did not have friends in class. She had no friends at school. So one day at recess, she saw a bunch of girls playing tag. She was not part of their game, but she went over and she chased someone and tagged them. Why do you think that Anaya ran after a girl and tagged her? What do you think that she wanted? Bryce?
I think she wanted to play and have fun and play tag with them without telling them.
Yeah.
Maybe she was looking shy.
Yeah, she probably wanted to play with them. What do we think her character motivation was? What did she want the most? What do you think she wanted the most, Dariah?
She wanted to play.
She wanted to play. What else do you think she might have wanted? Tracavia? She wanted to play tag. Let's think even bigger. What's the big thing that it sounds like she might want? Dariah?
She
she wants to make some friends, right? So, just like we thought about how Anaya, why she went up to tag someone, when we're reading today, we're going to be thinking about what the characters in our book want in order to figure out why they're doing the things that they're doing. So today we're going to be reading Danger in the Parking Lot.
Okay.
I love his reading.
So I want you to tell me what are things that you noticed that Miss Roney clearly did when introing her student's story.
So she was introducing like character motivation. She described it and not only like used one example, but also then used an example that the kids, she did like an I do and then she did a we do.
Very perfect. So she, so what I'm gonna say is when she started to intro her book, she actually explicitly taught a skill.
Mm-hmm.
She taught a skill. She modeled the skill. And then she checked for understanding, which is exactly what she said. Which is perfect. So now we're gonna watch you.
Mm.
Ready? Ready? I trust me, I hate watching videos of myself too. It's okay. It's all good.
It's like, do I really sound like that? Like, I'm so sorry, kids.
Okay.
You pulled up before.
I know. It's not being cooperative.
It never is.
It's okay.
I do like this new system though. It's really cool. When I got that email, I was like, what is this? Oh.
So we'll watch your video. And so before we watch it, I do apologize because like multiple people called me while I was trying to
No,
record
you're good. I
you.
thought you like you were talking to me and you're like,
Yeah,
you're
no.
okay.
So I do apologize.
It's
So
okay.
some parts might be a little bit hard to understand.
So I picked some different books for you. We've been working on some different stuff.
Go for Jones. I didn't hear you. You were breaking up. Can you say that again?
So today when we are reading, I want you to kind of think about your.
Did you just ask if his mom was still here? No, she actually left. She just left, so you can probably call her back real fast so she can get back up here. I'm in the LRC right now.
So, when reading this book, I want you to pay attention to the relationship between Ben and Howell. Because we're going to talk about it tomorrow, about different characteristics, about Mr. Ben and Howell. So, Sarah, we're focusing, we're talking about the book. What's the buddy's name? Thank you. So, Keelan, take your shirt off your face so you pay attention. So remember, we're going to be thinking about, so boys, take your hands off your face, hold them please, because I'm saying important things that if we're not listening properly, we're not going to be able to do it tomorrow, because I have an activity that we're going to be doing, so you're going to make sure we're paying attention. While we're reading, we're thinking about Ben and his buddy Popo, so hold your hands, Lorenzo. Also, by following rules, we also get dojo points. So I would love to give some dojo points for students who are following the rules. Alright, got it fixed? All good? Alright. So what are we going to be thinking about? Raise your hand and tell me. Lorenzo? Because we were playing, we were listening. The little boy's name is Ben. So we're thinking about Ben. What about? Yeah. So we're thinking about their relationship together. Okay? Can someone pass out the books?
So now I want you to So now, tell me what can you tell me what you did, and then can you identify the gap?
So I was introducing character traits, but I didn't necessarily introduce it in the manner of them being able to like use it right away in the reading. Like I just explained to them that they needed to like think about while they're reading, but they don't know what to kind of look for to kind of assist them in the activity tomorrow or the next day.
Okay, so what are some things that Miss Rooney clearly did in her book intro?
She was clear in
She
the
was-
definition, and then also was clear in the way she like modeled it. And then by having them, you know, checking for an understanding, she was able to kind of like jump into the reading, understand that the kids knew how to, you know, pull that information out for later, you know, activities.
So I'm gonna change. So
No, yeah,
I'm just gonna recap for you. So you said she had a clear definition, but honestly, it wasn't. She didn't give them a definition. She actually just like you said, we're gonna look at stuff, but she really said like we're gonna look at character traits. So she used the vocabulary where she named clearly what the purpose of was the lesson. So she gave them a purpose in the lesson, like she gave them a clear goal. So she said, so like what we would have wanted to say is like, today we are going to work on character traits. This is what character traits are. Then model how you would find the character traits and then let them do it. And she actually used past stories, and I think like one was maybe the previous book that they read, it sounded like, but the next was just like her just coming up with an
Yeah.
example. But there was a very clear, explicit lesson, mini lesson. There was a very, like she clearly modeled it for it, and she made sure that they knew exactly what they were doing. So, based on all of that, what do you think will be your action step, and what are we going to practice?
Creating that mini lesson before we read, definitely.
So your action step is actually it's going to create your mini lesson before you read your story. A mini lesson, so not only the mini lesson, but you want a clear I do and we do,
Yeah.
and a you do, because when she checked for understanding, that was their you do. So create a mini lesson with a clear I do, we do. You do. Okay, perfect. So you picked a book that we're gonna start. So like what we want to do is first, so you kind of know what you want the kids. So if you want to look through the book,
Yeah.
so and figure out like what is gonna be your target for the lesson, like what exactly are we gonna work on. So like once we work on that, then you can literally just like write out your script for how you're going to introduce your skill, and what's going to be your clear model, and what is your I do, your we do, and I do look like. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to interrupt you, but like, and I would definitely like if you want to look at even their step score or what they need to work on in step, if you want to tie it to that. So like, what kind of questions are we
Yeah.
answering?
Yeah, because I was noticing like underneath, like even like the critical and French, like we're so focused on that, but underneath it'll tell you like this also goes with the character motivation and like